Class for the new student, this is John Mark. I'll be taking you through quantitative analysis class. So for today, I want to cover on transportation and assignment and game theory. So I've termed it as just one topic, but we'll cover them bit by bit. So for today, I just want to focus on the transportation. And these are transportation assignment. They are just special topics in linear programming. We earlier did our linear programming, but the good thing is that they don't have, in case you miss the linear programming class, so these ones has no that direct correlation between the two. So for this class for transportation, today I want to focus on transportation, and it's one of the special topics of linear programming. And transportation, this where is just a study of an analysis on the movement, on how you can move item from one place to another at the minimum cost. Now, for both transport and assignment, what you expect me to cover is that in this case, we'll be dealing with the objective of minimization. I'm saying that both transport and assignment, they are founded on the ground of minimization, that cost minimization. So that's our basis. You need to understand that. And then we shall come and look at the similarity. We shall look at the differences between the two. So kindly let's go to the whiteboard. I explain something there as we write. Can you hear me? I hope now we are okay. So we are doing. So we'll be doing transportation and assignment model. And for that, first of all, I want to focus or to start with transportation. Transportation model. And the transportation model, or we have said that the transportation and assignment, they are just special topics of linear programming, which are founded on the assumption of cost minimization. That's one of their major objective, that they are initially formulated to do with minimization, but can also be modified to deal with maximization cases. So we start with the transportation. And what is transportation? I can see now everyone. Okay, I hope now we are together. I hope now you can be able to hear me. Good. We are saying that for transportation model, is a special linear programming model or technique, which is used to determine how items can be moved from one point to another. From one point to another. This one point is what we call the source, to another. The other one is the destination at the lowest cost possible. At the lowest cost possible. Yeah, that's what we call transportation. So number one is that it's a special topic of linear programming used to determine how items can be moved from one point to another at the lowest cost possible. This from one point is what we call the source to another point. This is the destination. Is the destination. Good. We have said that the objective of this model, is to minimize on cost. To minimize on cost, or to minimize on time, or to minimize on either the distance. So the major objective here will be dealing with minimization. Then what are the methods used in transportation analysis? We look at the methods used in transport analysis. We have three major methods we'll be using. Number one is called the northwest corner method. Northwest corner method. That's northwest northwest corner method. Then number 2, we have what we call the least cost cell method, or least cost cell method. Yeah, the LCCM, or just the least cost method. Number 3, we have what we call the Vogels approximation method. Some students saying they can't hear. Can you hear me now? Kindly. Am I audible? Good. So I think now we are okay. Okay, good. So now let's continue. We are looking at the methods used in transportation analysis. And one method is the northwest corner method. We have also the least cost cell method. And also we have the Vogels approximation method. So those are the methods we'll be using when analyzing the transportation problem. Good. I hope now everyone have joined join using audio for those who can't hear me. Yeah, join using audio. Yeah, someone has not joined using audio. I can see that. Good. Now, what are the assumptions of transportation and assignment? They share the same assumption. One of the assumptions is that the total supply is equal to total demand. That's one of the major assumptions. Then number 2, the capacity of the source is known. That's another one. Those are the major, that the total supply is equal to the total demand. We'll come to see this one. Because sometimes, in case they are not equal, how can we be able to adjust that? So now, for transportation, I want to start with transportation. That's what we'll be doing. And these are the methods used in transportation. We'll be evaluating the 3 methods. And then I have said another, you need to note that they are founded on the ground, or they're formulated to deal with minimization cases. That's another assumption. So now let's try a question on transportation. We do a transportation problem. We start with June 2011, question 3C. June 2011, question 3C. Yeah, so just hoping we are there now. We are told that Grain Handlers Limited has 3 warehouses, warehouse 1, 2, and 3. The table below shows the inventories of rice in the 3 warehouses. So we have warehouse 1, 2, 3, and we have the requirements. The company is required to supply 3 of its customers, C1, C2, and C3 with rice. The requirement of the customer are as follows. We have from customer 1 to customer 3, and those are the demands. The data below shows the cost of transporting 1 bag of rice from the warehouse to the customer. So we are moving from the warehouse to the customer, and what you are given here is the transportation cost. Remember, I said that our objective is to minimize on cost. Required, the minimum total transport cost using, I want us to use all the 3 methods. The least cost method, northwest corner method, and the BAM method. So we have some steps we follow, but I don't want to dictate for you the steps. Kindly note what I'll be doing. And this is what we'll be doing. So I want us to start with the first method as the north-west corner method. The northwest corner method. That's our first method we shall use. And in this case, you have to prepare the initial table. Prepare the initial table. And this is how we prepare. We have the sources and we have the destination. Then from the sources, we have 3 warehouses. We have warehouse 1, warehouse 2, warehouse 3, and then you can bring your demand there. Then destination, we have 3 customers. We have customer 1, customer 2, customer 3, and then you can indicate their supply. That's what you do. Then for every cell, we insert the cost, and that's how unaweka kadirisha kila mahali. Like that. So that's the first step. Let's go through the question again. So greenhouse has 3 warehouses. Warehouse 1, 2, 3. The table below shows the inventory of rice in the 3 warehouses. Now, the warehouses will form what we call the source. They are coming from the warehouse. So tukuje hapa, we have requirements 260, 168, and 172. So if you come to this table, we have written the source, the warehouse here. Warehouse 1, unaweka its supply. How much can it supply? That's our source. Warehouse 1, it can supply 260. Warehouse 2 can supply 168, and warehouse 3 can supply 172. Just copy the way it is. The warehouse and the requirement, 260, 168, and 172. Now, those are the sources. The sources have the supply. The company is required to supply 3 of its customers. That means the customer becomes our destination. Customer 1, customer 2, and customer 3 with rice. The requirement of the customer are as follows. Now, those are the demands for the customer. So you have customer 1 to customer 3, 280, 120, and 200. So tunakuja kwa table, our analysis table. Here we have the destination. We have customer 1, customer 2, and customer 3. And then we write their demand. Customer 1 has a demand of 280, 120, and 200. Then, one of the assumptions we have said that they are founded on the ground of equality. Equality means the demand and the supply should be the same. So I want you to do this. Can you add the total demand and you add the total supply and tell me if they are the same? Can they add that? You add the total demand and you add the total supply. And then you post your answer there. Yeah, it's 600. If you add the supply, you should get 600. And for the demand, if you add, you should still get 600. It should be the same. Then we go back to the question. The data below shows the cost of transporting 1 bag of rice from the warehouse to the customer. So now we have the cost from the warehouse to the customer. So now insert the cost. For example, from warehouse 1 to customer 1, it's 100 bob. Warehouse 1 to customer 2, 80 bob. Warehouse 1 to customer 3, it's 120. So unaweka hapa nimeweka dirisha. So this is 100. This is 80, 120. 140, 80, 140, 160, 120, and 140. Good. Now I need your attention here. This is the part you need now to understand more. Now that's the first initial step. First of all, you develop the table, you write the demand and the supply, and then you ensure that they are equal. Then from there, you insert the costs. From there, now we need to allocate. This method is known as northwest corner method. Let me draw a compass for you. North ni huko, east ni huku, west ni huko. So tumesema it's northwest corner method. You go to the north, you go to the west, northwest. Now let's be here. Unaanza hapa. You go to the north, it's northwest. Unaenda north. North is that cell. Hapo nimeweka that pen. And then you go west. It's north, west. Which cell is on the west? Hapo. Is it C1, C2, or C3? Kindly pause there. Nione kama tuko pamoja. You go to the north. The north ni hii, warehouse 1. Ndio iko the north. Then you go to the west. The west ukiwa kwa hii iko north, you go to the west. Yeah, it should be C1, correct. North, west. So unakuja north, then kwa hizi ziko north, you look which one is on the west, which is this one. Then which is this. Now tuangalie hapa. In this cell, uangalie both the supply and the demand. So here we have 260 and we have 280. Then you select the minimum. You select the minimum between 280 and 260. That's the supply and the demand. And here the minimum is 260. Unaweka 260. 260 imetoka hapa. Can you see? It's across the row. Unafunga hiyo. Unafunga hiyo. Nirudie tena. You come to the northwest cell. And then you compare the demand and the supply. And then you take the minimum. In this case, our minimum was 260. Na imetoka hapa. So that means you close the entire row. Kumaanisha, the equality there has been fulfilled. That means, hapa ukiteremuka, the demand is 280, but we have already supplied 260. Kwa hivyo, kuna ka balance ka 20. Tutajua mali tutapeleka hii 20. So ukishamaliza hiyo, if you fill and then you cross that one, we go to the other step. We start again. Now, I want us to go to the north, then west. Na hii tumefunga, don't consider. Don't consider 260, it's already filled. Hii tumefunga na hiyo tumefunga. So now the remaining, we repeat again, we repeat the process again. You go to the north, you go to the west. North, sasa north ni hapo, because you are not touching that one. It's already closed. Ukuje hapo, then you go to the west, and it will be this cell. Indi iko north na iko west. So in this case, tumesema, being this cell, you compare both the demand and the supply. Hapa ni 168. Hapa si 280 is 20. You see, if you add the total here, it should give you 280. Here we have already supplied 260. Kwa hivyo hapa, the maximum it can take, ikiteremuka, is only 20. Let me repeat again. You go to the north, you go to the west, which is this cell. You compare the supply and the demand. Now, for the supply, it's 168. But hapa kwa demand, is 20. This is what I'm doing. You see the total is 260, but already we have 260 here. We have supplied 260 here, 260 there. However, the balance, the figure 280 is only 20. So in short, you are comparing 168 against 20. So you take the minimum, which is 20. The minimum imetoka hapa, see ndio 20. That means you cross that column. So that 260 na 20 ni 280. 260 dash dash ni 260. Tukishamaliza hapo, we repeat the process again. So sasa umebakia na hizi. You see the unshaded part. Uenda to the north, you go to the west. Ni gani hiyo? Which cell iko north na iko west? Kindly post there so that I can see if we are together. Yeah, it should be C2 warehouse 2. You go to the north, then you go to the west, Niaka. So ukuje hapa. You compare the demand and the supply. Hapa ni 120, hapa si 168. Tuangalie hapa You see in this case, if you add the entire row, you should get 168. Already tumesha supply 20 hapa. So that means hapa we are working now, we are looking at 148. It's this 168 already tumetoa 20. So in this case, you're looking at 168 and 120. And then you take the minimum. The minimum is 120. Unaweka 120. 120 imetoka hapa. Kwa hivyo unafunga hiyo. Good. Sasa umebakia na hizi bili. This one you don't have to argue. You just do like this. 20 plus 120 plus x, you should get 168. Unapata ya hapo. 20 plus 120 plus x, you get 168. And I think you'll get 28. Umebakia na one cell. This one cell, ini dash. This is 0. 0 plus x, you get 172. Or 0 plus 28 plus x, you get 200. Now you can be able to get ngapi itaingia hapa, and it should be 172. Good. Now that's the allocation. Now we can show our allocation there. But in this case, they just wanted the minimum cost. But in some questions, they can ask you to show the allocation. Let me just show you the allocation. This is how you show the allocation. Warehouse 1, amepelekea customer 1. How many bags? 260 bags, each at 100. Remember, this was the cost per bag. Hajapelekea C2, hajapelekea C3. Tukuja kwa warehouse 2. Warehouse 2 has supplied to 3 customers. Customer C1, akapelekea customer 2, akapelekea customer 3. Warehouse 2 to customer 1 amepeleka 20 bags, each at 140. Warehouse 2 to customer 2 amepeleka 120 bags, each at a cost of 80. Warehouse 2 to warehouse 3 amepeleka 28 at a cost of 140. Then tukuja hapa kwa warehouse 3. Warehouse 3 has only supplied to customer 3 and supplied 172 bags, each at a cost of 140. And then you get the total. So kindly compute your haraka. You can just do 260 times 100 plus 20 times 140 plus 120. Yote. Tuende kazi. If you have the answer, kindly just post it there. And then kindly identify yourself by your name. Usiweke simu yako hapo. Yeah, from Jen I can see it's 66,400, correct? 66,400. That's the minimum cost. So kindly identify yourself by your name. Techno CX Air. Change that. Identify yourself by your name, kindly. So that's one of the methods we can use to do the transportation problem. So I won't wrap this. I show you another method. So those who are doing screenshotting, you can screenshot. But for my good student, you don't have to do that. You'll get the notes. So now let's go to the second method. I want to show you on how to do the transport analysis. Now we go to the least cost cell method. It's another method we can use. Method number 2 is the least cost cell method, LCCM. You just develop like the first one. We have the source, we have the destination. Source here tulikuwa warehouse 1, warehouse 2, warehouse 3, and then you show the demand. Then we have customer 1, customer 2, customer 3, and then you have the supply. Then kwa supply hii ilikuwa 260. This one was 168 and this one was 172 and the total was 600. For the demand, this was 280, this was 120 and this was 200. Then kulikuwa na cost. The cost here was 100. This was 80. This was 120. Here we had 140, 80, and we had 140. Here we had 160, 120, and we had 140. So in that case, what we do, in this case, we are dealing with so for this method, least cost sell method, as it says, is the least cost. We are dealing with the least cost. So for the least cost, you see in this case, now tukuje hapa kwa is all the cost. Now look at the cost. Look at the cost. Now, can you pick the least cost? Pick the least cost and then you text me there. Select the least cost. Yeah, the least cost is 80, correct. And we have two 80s here. We have two 80s there. So you can start with either, or I'll show you another technique you can use to identify which one to start with. So unaangalianga hapa. For example, you have 80, 80. You start with any of the cell. For example, if you take this one, utaangalia 260, 120. 260, 120. Kwa hivyo hii inaweza chukua 120, the minimum. Or tukuje kwa hii. Ukikuja kwa hii, it's 168, 120. 168, 120. Unachukua the minimum, which is still 120. So you can start with either. Now, I want you to understand this. Assuming we have these two 80s there. Assuming, so this one is another concept I'm introducing to you. Come up, for example, it's 260, 120. To one of this one, the minimum is 120. Then, maybe to part there is another 80. I want to change the figures. Assuming there is another 80 here, 168, 140. To assume 140. Kwa hivyo 160, 140, the minimum you can choose, it's 140. Nimechange your figures hapa. So in that case, if they tie, they have the same cost. Na hiyo umechukua ile minimum inaweza chukua na ile minimum inaweza chukua. If they tie, unaangalianga the unit it can take. First of all, you allocate to the one that can take the highest unit. In short, inamaanisha where you can transport more bags at the least cost. Najua wenye wamesikiza wameshika hiyo. But don't worry, we'll do it in another illustration. But in this our case, the two 80s, they are the same, 120, 120. So you can start with any. So for example, let me start with this one, here katikati. So you take the least cost, nimechukua 80, so it's 168, 120. And then I select the least in 120. Between the demand and the supply, you take the least, which is 120. Kwa hivyo nitachukua 120 hapo, then nifunge hiyo, na nifunge hiyo. Kwa hivyo hapa, you see here the supply was 168, but I have already supplied 120. Kwa hivyo hapa kumebakia ka 48. Ukishafunga tuanze tena. Now, don't look at this and this and this. You look at the remaining part. At the remaining part, now you look at the least cost. The least cost, in this case, it's 100. So tukuja kwa 100 hapa. 260, 280. 260, 280. You take the least. The least is 260. Kwa hivyo uchukue 260, kumaanisha hii ufunge hii yote. Hapa ilikuwa 280, but you have already supplied 260. Kwa hivyo hapa tunachezea na balance ya 20. Ukishajaza hiyo, we go to the next. Hizi zingine tujajaza. Select the list. So chagua the least cost hapo ni gani? For the 4. Which is the least cost there? Yeah, it's 140. Now, sasa hapa nataka tukue very keen. Hii nilikuwa namuelezea wenye hawakushika watashikia hapa. In case, you see we have 140, we have 140, we have 140. Tumesema, you give the first priority to the cell that will take the highest unit at the least cost. Na maanisha hivi. For example, tuanze na hii. Utaangalia hapa. Hapa si 168, already we have 120. Kwa hivyo utaangalia 48 against 20. 48 against 20. Kwa hivyo itachukua ngapi? The least is 20. Kwa hivyo hapo kwa nika 20. Cha nikaandike mahali. Then, let's try this. This cell is 48 against 200. 48, 200. Unachagua the minimum between the two, the least, which is 48. Kwa hivyo hii cell inaweza chukua 48. Then, we also have this. This cell, it's 172 and 200. Then uchukue the least ni 172. Hii tumeona ni 20. This one 48. Hii 172. Now I want to see if you understood what I have just explained. Now which one will you select hapa? Is it 20, 48 ama 172? So just post there. Which one will you give the first priority? Correct. I can see you have been listening. Yeah. Now, of this, you give the first priority to where you can supply them the maximum at the least cost. Kwa hivyo, this one is the one you give the first priority. 172, 200. You take 172. Kumaanisha 172 imetoka hapa. You close the entire row. Good. Sasa umebakia na bili. Ukibakia na bili, you don't have to argue. You see, 260 plus x plus 0 should get 280. Kwa hivyo hapa ni 220 itaingia. Ukuje hapa. Hii tumefunga ni 0. 0 plus x plus 172, you should get 200. Or, you can do this. 20 plus 120 plus x, you should get 168. You get the balancing figure there, which should be 28. Good. And that's how you do the allocation. Na hiyo imeisha hivyo. So in case you want to get the cost, how do you show the cost? Allocation ni kama venye nimekuonyesha the other one. The allocation is the same, but in this case they wanted the cost. You just do this. It's 260 each at 100 plus hapo hakuna 20 times 140. Watu waanze kufanya, or 120 times 80, or 28 times 140, or 172 times 140. Or you can still show the way nilikuwa nimeonyesha the other one. Warehouse 1 to warehouse 4 to 60 times 100, like blah blah. Just give me the total cost. Yeah, it should be 66,400. The same as the first one. Good. Any question under this before I wrap it? Good. Now, let me show you the third method you can use to do the allocation. It's known as the Vogel's approximation method. The VAM. Now, VAM, before I do it, kindly, hiyo nataka musikize kabisa. because unajua kuna student watasema nirudie na pengine sitarudia. So VAM is the Vogel approximation method. Now what we need to note about the VAM is that under this method for VAM we use penalties. Tulisema the first one, the northwest corner method, tulikuwa tunaenda northwest. The second method I've done is the least cost. I've been selecting the least cost. Now, for the VAM or the Vogel approximation method, we use penalties. And what's the penalty? Now, the penalty is the difference between the least and the next least. That's what we call the penalty, the least and the next least. For example, if you're given 20, 22, and 30, the penalty here is 2. You take the least, which is 20, and the next least, which is 22. So that's how you get the penalty. Good. And then another thing, when you're drawing the VAM table, unawacha space huku mwisho na huku chini. Usichole kama hiyo ingine. So when you are dealing with VAM, kindly uache space na uache space huku chini. Here we had the source and destination, warehouse 1, warehouse 2, warehouse 3, and here we had the demand. Then we have customer 1, customer 2, customer 3, and then you show their supply. So here we had the demand of 280. This was 120. This was 200, and this was 600. This was 260. This was 168, and this one was 172. So the cost here you had been given, ilikuwa 100, ilikuwa 80, na ilikuwa 120. This was 20, sorry, not 20, 140. This was 80, and this was 140. We had 160 there. This was 120, and this was 140. So that was the initial table. Good. So kindly nimesema this one I need an attention. So now, these are the steps we follow. You don't have to write them down, just reason. So tumesema for VAM, we are using the penalties. Utafute penalties hapo across the rows as well as across the columns. Penalties. Tuanze na penalty 1. So, like hapa utakuja, you take the list, chukua the list cost here. The list cost here is 100. The next list is 140. So, and the penalty or the difference is 40. Now, the difference between the list and the next list is what we call the penalty. Tukuja hapa kwa C2. Now, give me the difference here. Give me the penalty here. Give me the penalty there. Wachieni hapo. Now, yes, meandika ni 0 kila mtu hapo. Au wengine wamecheji ni venye nimesema si hiyo Now, if you say okay, cause ni 0, that's 80 and 80. Between hii 80 na hii 80 ni gani ndogo kwa hizo mbili? Ni ya juu ama ni ya chini? So kindly be serious So the list cost is 80. The next list is 120. See 80 na 80. Ni gani ndogo hapa? Na ni gani next list? So here the penalty is 80 and 120, which you get 40. Aya. Tukuje hapa. The list cost here is 120. The next list is 140. So we have a penalty of 20. Tukuje now across now the rows. Warehouse 1, 2, and 3. You do the same. Upper the list cost is 80. The next list is 100. So that means the difference is 20. Here we have 80 and 140, and the penalty is 60. Upper The least cost is 120, the next least is 140, so we have 20. So that's the first step. You get the penalty across the rows, the sources and destination. Then the second step, of the penalties, you select the highest. So select the highest penalty. Select the highest penalty. Itakuwa gani hapo? Yeah, I just need one answer. The highest penalty of the 6 of them is 60. Hiyo ndio step number 2. Yeah, for the penalty tumesema ni hizi zote. For both demand and the supply. Then, that's the second step. You select the highest penalty. Then mahali 60 imetoka, ingia ndani in that cell or in that row. Then you take the least cost. First of all, you give you supply to the least cost. You are minimizing the cost, of which the least cost ilikuwa 80. Kwa hivyo tuanze kwa this cell. So tumesema you select the highest penalty, then uingie hapo ndani uchukue the least cost, which is 80. Then tuangalie the demand and the supply, 168, 120. Then you select the least between 168 and 120 automatically, which is 120. 120 ni hapa chini. That means you cross the entire low. Ukishajaza 120 hapa unafunga hiyo yote. So kwa hivyo hiyo tumefunga. Good. Ukishamaliza hiyo, now we continue with the process again. We go to penalty number 2. Penalty number 2. So hapa unarudia the same. The least is 100, the next least is 140, so the penalty is 40. This one, the optimality has been met. Unaachana nayo, hiyo tunaruka. Here it's 120, 140, and the penalty is 20. That was penalty 1. Twende penalty 2 now across the sources. Hapa, you do not consider this. So now you'll consider 100 and 120. And the difference is 20. 140, 140. Usiangalie hii, which is 0. 160, 140. And you'll get 20. Then, uscan for the second penalty. You take the highest penalty. And the highest penalty hapo ni gani? The highest penalty is? Yeah, the highest penalty is 40. Unachukua hii 40 hapo. Hii 40 imetoka hapa to this column. Unaingia kwa that column, then you select the least cost. The least is 100. Uingie kwa that column, you select the least cost, which is 100. Then kwa hii 100, tuanze hapo kwa rotate hapo. You see we are comparing 260 and 280. You take the least, which is 260. Unachukua 260. 260 imetoka hapa, that means you cross the entire row. Hata hiyo imefungwa. Good. Kumaanisha hapa, you see here the demand was 280. Already tumesupply 260. Kwa hivyo hapa tunachezea ka balance ka 20. So tushafunga hii yote. Kwa hivyo hiyo usiangalie tena, hiyo tushafunga. Ukishamaliza hiyo, we continue with our penalties. We go to penalty number 3 until the optimality is achieved. So penalty 3, tuanze hapa. Hii ishafungwa. It's already allocated. So it's 140, 160, and the difference is 20. Hiyo tushafunga. Hapa kuna 140, 140, hiyo ni 0. Tukuje penalty 3 now across the sources. Hiyo tushafunga. That one optimality has been met. 140, 140, 0. 160, 140, you have 20. Then, tuende kwa that penalties, you select the highest. The highest ni ngapi hapo? Yeah, the highest penalty is 20. Now, tuangalie hapa. We have two 20s here. Kuna hii 20 na kuna hii 20. So you have 20 hapa. So, I showed you in case they tie, how you can be able to allocate. So let's start with this one. Hii 20 tunaingia hapa. Unaangalia the least cost. The least cost hapa ni 140. Kwa hivyo unaangalia demand and supply. Hapa already tumesha supply 120. Kwa hivyo hapa tunachezea 48 the balance, 168 minus 120 which is 48. It's 48 against 20. Hapa tulikuwa tumebakisha 20. Kwa hivyo hiyo inaweza chukua 20. It's 48 against 20. Inaweza chukua 20. Then we had another 20 here. Hii unaingia hapo. Unachukua the least cost. The least cost ni 140, si 160, it's 140. It's 172, 200. Kwa hivyo hapo unachukua the least, which is 172. Then of the two, you give the first priority to the one taking the highest number, which is ni ya 172. Kwa hivyo tutaanza na hii. Kwa hivyo you will take this 20. Ndio ingia hapo, uchukue the least cost, which is 140, 172, 200, you take 172. Kumaanisha ufunge hiyo yote. Good. Now you're remaining with 2. Ni ngapi itaingia hapa? Give me the answer there. Ni ngapi itaingia hapo? Yeah, it should be 20. 260 plus x plus x plus 0 should get to 80. Kwa hivyo hapo ni 20 itaingia. Hapa 20 plus 120 plus x you get 168. So kwa hivyo itaingia 28. And if you add 28 plus 172 you should also get 200. Now we can be able to get our minimum cost. So it's 260 times 100 plus 20 times 140 plus 120 times 80 plus 28 times 140 plus 172 times 140. Utapata ngapi? Yeah, I can see Miss Du hapo. Na leo Damaris, you are very active, eh? Yeah, you should be active. Ukiwa active unashikanga hiyo kitu kabisa. So, are you okay with that? Just hoping me okay. Can we do another illustration? Good, we can do another one. So, chukua your past paper. Chukua, you open this question. Yeah, December 2009. December 2009. Question 3B. Question 3B. Yes, Dennis, your question, yeah. Regardless of the method you use, the answer should be the same. The cost should be the same. But examiner sana sana anapenda VAM. Ili inakuanga mostly examinable. So December 2009, question 3B. Yeah, just hoping we are there. So the distribution system of XYZ Limited has the following constraints. We have factory A, B, C. We have the capacity in units, and the total is 200. Then we have warehouse, and we have their demand, and the total is 200. The transportation cost per unit in shillings from each warehouse to every warehouse, from each factory to warehouse is given in the following table. So you are given the analysis for the transportation cost from factory to warehouse. Good. Required. The optimal transportation schedule for XYZ, 8 marks, and the lowest total transportation cost, 2 marks. Now, in this case, they want the optimal transportation schedule. You see the one we did in the first question, limuonyesha the schedule, eh? Warehouse 1 amepelekea warehouse 3, like that. Eh? Another thing is that in this question, they have not specified which method to use. For exam, tumia ile rahisi unajua wewe. Either the northwest, either the least cost, ama VAM. So, but for us in this question, I want us to do using all the method. Wenye hawakushika ya kwanza, wenye wamejoin late. Na then kuna watu tunaweka on hold hapo. So if we keep you on hold kindly, hautaona kitu. So kindly tumesema change. Identify yourself by the name. Kindly. So I want to start with the first method, the northwest corner method. So let me draw the table there. The source and the destination. Now for our sources, kulikuwa na factory A, factory B, factory C, and then you bring the demand. For the destination, we have warehouse 1, warehouse 2, warehouse 3, and then you bring the supply for the sources. So then tulikuwa tumepewa hapo capacity. Like C factory A, B, C, 90, 30, 80. Yeah, hapo kwa factory. Yeah, we have 90,000, 30,000, and 80, and the total is 200. Then for the destination, the warehouses, warehouse 1 demand ni 50, 110, na hiyo ni 40. Then tunaweka kadirisha hapo, hiyo ni ya kurecord the cost. You had already been given the transportation cost. Now from warehouse A, from factory A to warehouse 1 is 20, hii ni 14, hii ni 16, hiyo ni 30, 24, and 18. 14, 16, and 24. Now we are starting with the northwest corner method. Tulisema northwest corner method, you go to the north, you go to the west. North, ndio hiyo, then you go to the west. Ile iko west ni this cell. So kwa hivyo tunaanza hapo. Unaangalia both supply and the demand. So you have 90, you have 50. You take the list. The list is 50. Unaweka 50 na unafunga hiyo na unafunga hiyo. Tunaenda hiyo ingine. Northwest, usiangalie tumeshafunga. So it's north ni hiyo, then unaenda west. West ni hii. So in this case, tuangalie supply and the demand. So itachukua ngapi hii? Hii itachukua ngapi? The list between the supply and the demand. Haya. Kuna 90 na kuna 40. So tuangalie hapa. Tumesema usiangalie peke yake. You see this the supply ni 90 but already tumesupply 50 there. Kwa hivyo you have a balance of 40. So hapa unaangalia. So kwa hiyo unaangalia 40 and 110. Sio 90. Already we have 50, So it's 40 and 110. So the list is 40. Kwa hivyo unafunga hiyo. Ukishafunga hiyo northwest. Kwa hivyo tumebakia na hizi sasa. You go to the north, you go to the west. West ni hiyo. So hapa kuna 30. Hii ni 110 lakini already tusha supply 40. Kwa hivyo tunaangalia 70. So it's 30 and 70. So you take 30 the list. Kwa hivyo unafunga hiyo. Kisha funga hiyo zimebakia 2. 40 plus 30 plus x you get 110. Kwa hivyo inakuja ngapi? Hii ni 70. Kwa hivyo inakuja 40. 0 plus 0 plus x you get 40. Or 0 plus 40 plus x you get 80. So that one you get 40. And then you show, the question was number 1, the optimal transportation schedule. So how do you show the schedule? Wakiuliza schedule, you have to show this. That A amepelekea warehouse 1 na amepelekea warehouse 2. Then part 2 alikuwa anataka cost. So you can show them. A ni 50 each at 20. Hapa ni 40 each at 14. Then B amepelekea warehouse 2. Amempelekea 30 at 24. Then kuna C amepelekea wawili, warehouse 2 and warehouse 3. So that means it's 40 times 16, 40 times 24, and then unaongeza the total. As easy as that. Twende kazi. Let's go to the method number 2. So number 2, you do the least cost cell method. So how do you do the least cost cell method? So here we had ilikuwa 50, this was 110, and this was 40. And then for the cost, ilikuwa 20, 14, 16. Ilikuwa 30, 24, 18, 14, 16, 24. Now the second method we are doing, sasa tunafanya least cost cell method, LCCM. Now for the LCCM, tulisema unaangalia the least cost. Hapa the least cost ni gani? You look at the least cost. Yeah, the least cost is 14. But in this case we have 214. Kuna hii na kuna hii eh? I showed you how to allocate. Tuanze na hii. 90, 110. 90, 110. Kwa hivyo itachukua 90. Then we have another 14 here. 80, 50. Kwa hivyo itachukua, the least is 50. Then of the 290 and 50 you take the highest, and the highest is 90. Kwa hivyo tutaanza na hii 90, 110. Kwa hivyo utachukua 90, kumaanisha hiyo ufunge hiyo yote, hiyo imeisha. Then tuende to the next list. Bado hii 14 haijaguzwa, so still now we concentrate on this. So it's 80 and 50. Kwa hivyo itachukua the least ni 50, kumaanisha unafunga hiyo. So zimebakia hizi. The least it's 16. So this 16 utaangalia hii itachukua ngapi? Itachukua ngapi? Wengi wameanguka sana. It's 20 not 30. Tuangalie hapa. This one it's 80, already we have 50. So hapa ni 30. Hapa it's 110. 110 minus 90. We just require 20. So it's 20 and 30. So it's 20. Kwa hivyo unafunga hiyo. So zimebakia mbili. 00x 30. So that one you get 30. 50 plus 20 is 70. Plus x you get 80. Kwa hivyo itakuja 10. Of which if you take 30 plus 10, you still get 40. Then from there you can show the allocation schedule. I think from now you can be able to get the allocation schedule for that? It's either yes or no. Onyesha hapo, because I don't want to waste a lot of energy. Kuonyesha hapo allocation schedule. It's the same we have done for number 1. Eh? Yeah, the same we have done for number 1. You show the allocation schedule and then the cost. Now, let's go to the third method. Nimesema, in an exam, in case like this question they have not specified, you can use any method, just one. Don't show all of them, only one. So now let me show you on how to use the VAM. Na tumesema VAM uses penalties. And how do you use the penalties? So VAM, tumesema VAM unaacha space huko mwisho. Source, destination. Source kulikuwa na factory A, B, and C, and then you show the demand. And then for the demand, for the destination, we had warehouse 1, warehouse 2, and warehouse 3. And then you can show the supply. Ilikuwa 90, 30, 80. Here we had 50, 110, and 40. So then the cost, this was 20. Here we had 14, and here we had 16. This was 30. This was 24. This was 18, 14, 16, and 24. Twende kazi. Tumesema in this case, tunatumia penalty. So we look for the penalties there, as well as we look for the penalties here. Tumesema penalty is the difference between the list and the next list. So tukuje hapa, you take the list cost. The list here is 14. The next list is 20. The difference ni ngapi? The difference is 6. Here the list is 14. The next list is 16. So the difference is 2. 16 and 18, the difference is 2. Tuangalie the penalty now across the sources. Here we have 14 and 16, we have 2. 18 and 24, hiyo ni 6. 14 and 16, that's 2. Kuna mali nimekosea, I think it's okay by that. Then, the second step, after you get the penalties, you take the highest penalty. In that case, the highest penalty hapo ni gani? The highest penalty is 6. Kuna hii na kuna hii. So, for example, this one, ukichukua hii, unaingia hapo, you take the list cost, which is 14. 80, 50. Kwa hivyo itachukua 50. If you take this, that means utaingia hapo. You take the list, which is this. So it's 30, 40. Kwa hivyo itachukua 30. Of the two, you take the highest. Kumaanisha you'll start with the first one. Kwa hivyo utachukua this 6. Ukuje where the list cost is, which is 14. Then from there we have 80 and 50. Kwa hivyo tuchukue 50. Kumaanisha ufunge hiyo na ufunge hiyo. Hiyo imeisha. Tuendelee na our process. We go penalty number 2. Hiyo imeisha hivyo. Here ni 2, hiyo ni 2, penalty 2. So in this case, it's just 14 and 16. We have 2. 24, 18, 6. 16 and 24, hiyo ni 8. Then you take the highest penalty. And the highest penalty here ni 8. So unakuja mahali 8 iko, unaingia, you take the least cost, which is 16. Now in this case, kuna EC80 because you already have 50. So here it's 30. You're comparing 30 against 110. You take the list, which is 30. Kumaanisha unafunga hiyo. Hiyo inaisha hivyo. Ikiisha, tuendelee. You go to the third penalty. Tushafunga hiyo. Now in this case we have, usiangalie hii. So it's 14 and 24. Kwa hivyo ni 6, that's 10. 16 and 18, hiyo ni 2. For penalty 3, 14 and 16, we have 2. 24 and 18, that's 6. Isha. So of that, you take the highest. The highest penalty here is 10. Kwa hii 10 tunaingia hapa. You take the least cost, which is 14. Now for this 14, we have 90 and we have, this is 80. You see this is 110 minus 30, so hapo kuna 80. So it's 80 against 90. So you take 80. Kumaanisha unafunga hiyo. So 80 plus that one you get 90. Kwa hivyo itakuwa 10. 0x you get 30. Or 10 plus x plus 0 you get 40. Kwa hivyo unapata 30. As easy as that. Tuko sawa sasa? I'm hoping now you're okay. Good. Now, I'm sure those students who are not KCE students, sorry, tumefanya the second one. I'm sure you don't have this past paper for December 29. So nimeweka hapa, you can screenshot that question. Yeah, this one is not in your past papers. Na bado haiko kwa handout yenyu. So you can screenshot that question. Good. Now, before I finish this, can you open this question? May 2016, question 4B. May 2016, question 4B. Just hoping we are there now. This one, nataka kumuonyesha tu. I want you to tell me if you can be able to do that question. Farm Produce Limited is a producer and a distributor of maize flour. The company owns milling plant in Eldoret, Nyanyuki, and Narok town. The milling plant have not been able to meet the demand orders of the company's distribution office located in Mombasa, Kisumu, Nairobi, and Isiolo towns. The company is considering the construction of a new milling plant either in Nakuru town or Meru town in order to expand its production capacity. The data below relate to the company production and the demand requirement. So we have the milling plant, we have the monthly output, and we have the unit production. Good. Then, hapa tumepewa unit production, not transportation cost. Then you are given the distribution office, and we have the monthly demand. So between milling plant and distribution, you have to differentiate which are the sources, which are the destination. So in this case, our sources zinatoka kwa milling plant, zinapelekwa to the distribution offices. So those are our sources, those are our destinations. And then another thing, can you add, nataka muongeze ya milling plant na wengine muongeze ya monthly demand. You tell me if they are equal. Add the demand and the supply, tell me if they are equal. Are they equal? Demand is 90. Yeah, you see they are not equal. So, but we said that for you to solve this question, they must be equal. They are founded on the ground of equality. So now, in that case, how do we add up to equality? How do we adjust for them to be equality? So in this case, what we usually do In case they are not equal, you add a dummy source or dummy destination. Ujue ni gani mingi, ni gani kidogo, eh? So between the meeting plant and the distribution offices, I think it'd be more than this, eh? So in that case, you have to add a dummy, but the dummy you add to the meeting plant. Hizo ndizo dogo. So ni ndogo na ngapi? So give me the difference. Give me the difference between the demand and the supply. The difference is it how much? Is that 22,000? Because it's 92 minus 70. 92 minus 70, you get 22. So that means your dummy will carry 22 for it to be balanced. Kumaanisha kwa sources, tuangalie hapa kwa sources itakuwa Eldoret, Nyanyuki, Narok, and another one there. Sasa the other one, you give it 22,000. Good. To the additional information. The estimated unit production cost in Nakuru and Meru town are 98 or 106 respectively. So that means for our dummy, you see hapa tumeambiwa, the company is considering the construction of a new milling plant either in Nakuru or Meru is just one. So that dummy or the other distribution is either tutengeneza in Nakuru or Meru. So that dummy itakuwa either Nakuru or Meru. Let's go to note number 2. The unit transportation cost in shillings for each milling plant to each distribution offices are given as follows. Now you are given the transportation cost. Na hapa juu ulikuwa umepewa unit production. The estimated unit transportation cost in shillings from each of the proposed milling plant to each distribution offices are as follows. So umepewa paka ya Nakuru na Meru. Required, I mean number 4. Assume that the construction of one of the proposed milling plant would satisfy the demand deficiency. Kwa hivyo inamaanisha utengeneze only moja. Required, using the Vogel's approximation method, VAM, advise the management of Farm Produce Limited on the best location to construct the milling plant. Where should we construct it? I'm about to me a VAM. So can I give you that as an assignment, or we do it, or I give you a hint? You acha niwacha I not ask you this one, because najua hamtafanya hiyo. George unasema assignment na hapo maybe haujachika kitu. So I'm just giving you a hint. So if you are given two costs, you are given the unit production cost and you are given the transportation cost. This is what you'll do. Step number 1. Acha nimuonyeshe hapo. Nimekuja nikatengeza, I'm determining the total cost. You have the sources. Kulikuwa na Eldoret, Nanyuki, and Narok. There were only 3. Then nimeongeza Nakuru and Meru. Then our source destination we had Mombasa, Kisumu, Nairobi, and Isiolo. We are determining the cost peke yake. Now what I have done, so nimekuja, for example, in Eldoret, the unit production cost for any unit we are producing in Eldoret, production cost yake ni 96. So nikikuja hapa Eldoret nimechukua 96 kila mahali, then you add transportation cost. Tukuja hapa, then you are given number 2. The unit transportation cost in shillings for each milling plant to each distribution office are given as follows. Now from Eldoret to Mombasa ni 64, 36, 52 na 58. So nimechukua, you see from Eldoret production cost ni 96. So nimechukua 96, that's the production cost. And then for each I have added the transportation cost, 64, 36. That's what I've done here. 94, 64, 96, 64. Kakuja Kisumu, production is 96, but transportation to Kisumu is 36. Nairobi, the production from Eldoret is 96, but transportation to Nairobi is 52. Isiolo the same. Then I have done for Nyanyuki the same. You see for Nyanyuki, the unit production cost was 100. So you'll take 100 plus the transportation cost, either to Mombasa, Kisumu, Nairobi, and Isiolo. Kama utongeza 56, 52, and that's what I have done here. 100 plus 56 inakuja 156, 100 plus 52, like that. Then you do for Nakuru and Meru, the same. For example, for Nakuru, note number 1. The estimated unit production cost in Nakuru and Meru town are 98 and 106. So it's only production cost. So for example, for Nakuru, you'll take 98, that's the production. Then you add the transportation cost. Note number 3, you are given from Nakuru to Mombasa, utaongezea 60, Kisumu ongezea 46, Nairobi 40, and Isiolo 52. Good. That's what you'll do. Then you get the total cost. Ukishapata hiyo, now hii utajaribu mara mbili. Either ikiwa Nairobi, ukiweka Nakuru, or in Eldoret. So in this case, you have to prepare 2 tables. So this is what I mean. The first one, remember you're using VAM. Nampea 2 hint hapa. Sources, kulikuwa na LD, kulikuwa na Nyanyuki, na kulikuwa na Narok. Then hapa ndio tunaongeza Adame source, of which it's either Nakuru or Meru. Now for the first table, uanze na Nakuru, and then you bring the demand. Then to the destination there, we had Mombasa, we had Kisumu, we have Nairobi, and we have Isiolo. And then you bring the supply. You see, from Eldoret, ilikuwa 30,000, ingine ilikuwa 12,028. Zilikuwa zimeishia hapo. Then Mombasa, it was 20, 24, 30, 18. Then unaongeza hapa. So hizi ndio zilikuwa mingi, so which was 92. That means the balancing figure utaweka to Nakuru. Nakuru now will produce 22. That's the balancing figure. That's how you want Adame. Then kutoka hapo uweke sources. I mean the costs. So here we had the cost, the one we had computed. So for example, it's 96 plus 64. Now you write the 160. So you utaweka 160, 132, 148, 154. The other one, it's 156, 152, 144, 132. Now, up to that point, now you analyze. Tulisema, in this question, they were specific. They wanted you to use VAM. Uanza kutafuta penalties. Penalty 1, penalty 1, you do. Can you be able to do the penalties? For VAM, I'm sure you can be able to do. Then, after I do all of it, then you get the cost. I showed you how to get the cost. Ujue ni ngapi. Are we there? You first of all, you allocate everything, and then you get the total cost. After you are through with that, then you prepare another table. The other table, it will be Eldoret, Nyanyuki, Narok. Now, instead of Nakuru, weke Meru hapo. The same with the 22, but with the cost of Meru. Then you do the analysis, the same using VAM. Then you determine its cost. Then uangalie cost ya Nakuru from the first table and the cost of Meru from the second table. And then uchukue the one with the minimum. As simple as that. As simple as that. I think for now you can be able to do that question. I have given you a hint. Then from the handout I'll send. I have done the first question we did iko hapo kwa handout. Then this one, the one I'm showing you right now, iko on the last page, because that handout I have three topics. Kuna transport, kuna assignment, na kuna game theory. So that handout comprises of 3 items. So I have started with the transportation, but this one for May 2016, the one I have given you as an assignment, I have attached at the last page. Good. So now for the next class, God willing, so kindly don't miss next class. Next class, I'll be doing the assignment, and then also I'll do game theory. I'll do the two. I do the assignment, I'll do game theory. So in case you have a question, kindly, I'm giving you an opportunity. Raise your hand. Don't post there. Let's interact.